Hello everyone, welcome to MBA Karo. CAT 2024 is near and I'm sure you must be well prepared for the examination. In this video, I'm going to discuss about how to deal with the quant section. It is out of the three sections of CAT, it is the only section which is a bit predictable. Of course, the difficulty level last year was quite unexpected, but if we talk about the three sections, it is the only section wherein knowledge comes handy. It is not that anything would be the the only surprise element could be the difficulty level, but the syllabus is defined, right? If you have covered the syllabus well, you know how to solve the questions. It is just that there might be some questions which might be very difficult or the paper could be quite lengthy. So that is the thing over here. And I can assure you that this time the level will dip, because last year what happened was something extreme, and usually it does not happen that two consecutive years quant has been very difficult. So be assured that this year the level is going to dip. People are fearing that like what if the quant gets worse. My assumption is that this year it should dip. Anyway, if it is difficult, also be prepared for that. It's a paper where it is a relative marking scheme, right? So even if you are able to solve five questions and you are above 90% of the people, that is good enough. So don't target any number of questions. Do not go with the last year's mindset that I have to attempt X number of questions. Try to maximize your attempts in the section. So in this section, in this video, I'm going to briefly describe about some of the topics that should be top on the top of your mind and are the pickable questions, usually pickable questions in the examination, and what concepts you must brush up in the last 2-3 days before the examination. If you are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now, if you talk about the quant section, 80+% is going to be arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. So I hope your preparation must have been concentrated around these three topics. I'm not saying that you should have ignored number system and modern math. You might get a few questions from them, maybe three, four, or max up to five questions. Don't be surprised if the number of questions from modern math and number system appear more in the examination. So one must have holistic preparation for the examination. If you are a serious aspirant, one should have covered the entire syllabus in detail, but very much likely that you will get 80% of the syllabus around these three topics. Now, arithmetic used to be dominating, then algebra, then geometry. Last year it was algebra, which was in heavy count last year, but almost you will see the dominance of arithmetic, or it might be equivalent to algebra. Don't be surprised if you see more geometry questions this time, because last year the number of geometry mensuration questions was drastically low. So possible that there might be increase in those counts. So it could be anything. So a sincere student must have prepared all these three things thoroughly. Now let us talk about some of the things which are predictable and are very likely to be asked. First of all, percentage equivalent, right? It is something that every aspirant should be well versed with, and this could help you in several topics while taking variables also. Like for example, these are reciprocals of numbers. So 1 by 6 is 16.67%. These are some minute things, very basic level, which every aspirant must be using. Like if we say 20%, right? So let's say we say that a person makes 20% profit. So take cost price as 5x and selling price as 6x. So percentage equivalent, you should be on the top of your mind so that you are able to deal with problems faster. Now, percentage and its applications are sure to be asked. You will get questions on profit loss or simple interest, compound interest. So keep this thing in mind that profit loss and markup, these are all percentages of cost price. Discount is a percentage of mark price. So if you think in terms of percentage, it is just one thing which is percentages, which is being tested in all these topics. And if you have seen in the past, a lot of questions have been asked from this, so you can anticipate one question at least from one of these two topics, or maybe from both also, or it could be plain percentage based question also. So definitely percentage in applications, you can expect at least two questions or even more from that. One could be simple percentage based, I mean just percentage and combination of ratios or something like that, that three people are there, their salary are x% y% increase, the ratio given, etc. One question could be from profit loss, right? One question could be simple interest, compound interest. It has high likelihood to be asked because every year we see questions on simple and compound interest. So like you could have these kind of questions wherein they give you that percentage. Okay, so like for profit and loss, no discount is given, what will be the percentage profit and so on. So that is one variety of questions which are easily doable ones. Okay, just take the values and solve those questions. So if you get these kind of questions, this is going to be a delight element for you. Next, you can have simple interest, compound interest, calculation based questions with close options. Now this was a question which was asked in CAT 2021 which had very close options. Now such questions, if you can use calculator for those, right? Otherwise, if your calculations are not that strong, advisable to skip those questions because high chances of error, right? Because high chance, like if you see 806.25, 866.72, and it is compound interest during second and third year, they have asked compound interest in the fourth year, like. So, and if you see the options 9, 31, 26, 29, 34. So, close options. If your calculations are weak, I would advise to avoid such question. You can use calculator for such questions. This is the place where you should ideally be using calculators. And if your calculations are strong, you could have done it. For example, if I were there, I would attempt this question because I know that 806 to 866, increase of 60. Okay, an increase of 60 on 806 is roughly 8 into 7 is 56, roughly 7.5% is the increase, right? So actually the rate of interest was 7.5%. Now I need to increase this by 7.5%. I have to increase by 7.5%. 875%, 75% is 60, and 64, like this is 66, right? So 64 is 48, like 75% of 64 is 48. So 75% of 66, 7.5% of 64 is going to be 4.8. So I would just do it roughly 65 increase. Okay, roughly 65 increase would mean that it is going to be about 931.72. Okay, and that was the answer also. So if you could do calculations, mental calculations, great. If you have that ability, then attempt such questions. For example, people who have good calculation knowledge are able to do such questions, and in only in those cases you should touch the questions. Like we saw the previous question which was simple one, most people could attempt it. Now this was a tough one because of the calculative nature of the question. Sometimes it might happen that the calculation intensive question is there, but logical thinking will enable you to answer that question. I mean, I did it through calculation last year, but later on I realized that the options were far apart. That time my brain did not work. I was calculating this question and solved the question that way. Now, let us understand it. This was a question which said that he borrowed at the interest of 8% per annum, compounded half yearly, and he repays some amount at the end of first year, and he pays the outstanding amount at the end of the third year. Okay, we need to find the total interest that he paid over the 3 years. Now, the conventional ways to calculate all the values, the logical way which one should have applied is, and I regret that I was not able to think through it while attempting the test, was he is paying interest of 8% per annum. Okay. If it is simple interest is rate into time percentage. Okay. If it was not compound interest, if it was simple interest, he would have paid simple interest of 24%. in 3 years, right? We know compound interest is greater than simple interest. So the interest has to be more than 24%. Okay. Compound interest, and that is also compounded annually. So it means compounding, and if it is compounded half yearly, the interest is even more. So compound interest is definitely going to be 24%, more than 24%, maybe 25 plus percentage. Okay, even though he's depositing some money, in 1 year he must have accumulated some interest, and for 2 more years he is getting more interest on that remaining money. So all in all, his compound interest would be roughly, let us say, 25%. It will be even more, but let us just take a conservative figure of 25%. So his interest would be around 50,000. That is the only option which was available. So later on, I realized that this question was simple, could have been done logically, because we do not know it is exactly 25 or more. It may be even more than that, right? So that is just a logical thinking here is simple interest is rate into time percent. So rate is 8%, time is 3 years. Simple interest would have been 24%, and compound interest has to be more than that. Okay, so no denying the fact. Now, other values look quite low, especially these two look quite low. And if you argue that the person has deposited some money at the end of the year, the person got interest on that. Okay, so 1 year that would be, let's say, 8% interest. So 2,16,000. Okay, it became 2,16,000. He deposited just 10,000. So his principal is still 2 lakhs. So that means his interest is roughly going to be around 25 plus percent. So that was the answer. So if you think logically, you can attempt such questions in the examination. But I agree that sometimes it is not possible to think through such things during the examination. If you happen to, then it is great. Now, next thing is allegation. It has several application. If you have studied allegation well, you would be able to solve different varieties of questions. And in our classes, we teach different applications of allegation. So it can have several applications, like in percentage based questions also. One could, so let's just look at some of the questions where allegations could have been applied in the past few years. So it says team has played 40%, 40 matches and won 30% of them. If they win 60% of the remaining matches, overall will be 50%. So whenever there are two things combined and we are getting overall, that means it is an application of allegation. So 30-60 overall is making 50. So that gives us 10 and 20. It has to be 1:2, right? So win, this is win percentage. So that means if there are 40 matches here, there should be 80 matches in the second phase. So such kind of questions can be solved by allegation. Allegation not only has applications on mixing of liquids, it also has applications in such kind of problems. Then there was the weighted average, that is also solved using allegation. So it said that this was a good question of CAT 2022. It says the average marks are 32 and 60, and the number of students in section A is 10 less than in section B, and average marks across both the sections is an integer. Then difference between maximum and minimum possible number of students in section A. Right. So that was a question. And if you look at this, allegation will be applicable here. How? If both sections have equal students. If both have equal students, then what will happen is average will be average of these two. Both will have equal weight, that is 46 marks, right? But they do not have equal students. A has, it says section A has 10 less students than section B. So section A, the average is 32, this is 60. Now, if both have equal, the average will be 46. Now, if the weight of B is more, this is A, this is B. If the weight of B is more, the average will shift away towards the higher end, isn't it? So whatever has higher weight, the average shifts to that side. So the next possible average we can have, least possible average we can have is 47. So if we take that average 47, we will get the ratio as 13 ratio 15. Okay. So if you take 13 ratio 15, the number of students would be 65 and 75, right? So that is the number of students in section A and B if the average is 47. Now what can be the maximum? This is the minimum that we can have, minimum average that we can have. Maximum average can be till 59. It cannot reach 60 because we have 32 over here, right? We have two sections, so it has to be between 46 and 60. So if it is 59, in that case the ratio becomes 1 ratio 27, but we cannot have a difference of 10 students because it says that the number of students in section A is 10 less than that. Next we can take 58, that will be 2 ratio 26, again not giving an integer value. 1 ratio 13 is not giving difference of 10. If we take 57, so 3 ratio 25, again not able to get a difference of 10. If you take 56, 4 ratio 24, okay, which is 1 ratio 6, or we can say the number of students is 2 and 12 respectively, right? 4 ratio 24, we can take the number of students as 2 and 12. Now the question is difference between maximum and minimum possible number of students. So maximum possible is 65, minimum possible is 2. So that was a brilliant question testing this logic of uh, weighted average. So allegation has another application in weighted averages. Then you have, of course, questions based on replacement. This was a question which was asked in CAT 2021. So replacement says that if you have a quantity X, right, and you are replacing, so what it says that like X upon total we can get by 1 minus whatever portion that you are replacing, 1 minus x upon, like this is something which is being replaced, or you can call it 1 minus a upon b in one replacement, okay, in two replacements, in raised to the power n replacements. So a upon b is the portion that is replaced. Now let us understand this question through this principle. It says 9 liters of milk are drawn and replaced with water. Next, again it is happening twice. So milk and water are 16 ratio 9. So milk and water is 16 ratio 9. So milk ratio water is 16 ratio 9. Milk ratio total will be 16 ratio 25 in two replacements. After two replacements, right, that means in one replacement it will be 4 by 5, okay, in one replacement it is 4 by 5. Milk ratio total will be 4 by 5, right? So we are saying that 9 liters of milk are drawn and replaced with water, okay. So like initially there were 5 portions and one portion is thrown out and one portion of water is being filled. So initially there are 5 parts of milk, one portion out and one portion of water is being put. So 4/5 means there were 5 parts of, initially there were all was milk. So 5 and 5 out of 5 parts were milk. Now one portion is out and one portion is replaced by water. So one portion that is out is 9 liters. Okay. So 5 portions, that is the initial volume, will be 45. Okay. So that is another question type which is quite frequently asked about replacements. Then if we talk about time, speed, distance, time and work, practice all varieties of questions of these type because you are bound to get one question each from these. You may have multiple questions also from time and work and TSD. So work out all the previous year questions. Uh, Time, speed, distance, be it boats and escalator, trains, right? Cars going from one city to another, travel, right? A person going from city X to city Y, then returning, or it is based on races. A lot of times the questions are based on races, circular race, linear race, etc. So cover all the varieties. So if you have covered these topics well, you are destined to get questions. Time, speed, distance, time and work, sure short questions are there. So these are some of the topics in arithmetic which can give you marks. So it depends on which topic you have prepared to up to what level. Let us say you have covered time, speed, distance, you have covered all varieties. So whatever kind of question comes up, you can give it a try. Time and work, if you feel the calculation, the question that is asked is calculation intensive, you may choose to skip that. So it is about your comfort level plus the length that is asked in the question. So be prepared on all topics, and I mean, I'm sure you must have prepared for this, but just see that these are the doable ones in the examination, not of all of them, but usually questions from these topics are doable ones. And if there are difficult ones, which we saw some of the cases, in that case just avoid them. Now progressions is another important topic. You do get questions from progressions and series, so should have been prepared. Now, one thing which is sometimes it is asked about four-digit numbers also, average of three-digit terms, right? Some people start finding first term, and there could be some questions like four-digit numbers using the digits X, Y, Z, right? Something like that. A, B, C, D are the digits of four-digit numbers. You need to find the average of all such terms. So average, if this is an arithmetic progression, in an arithmetic progression, the average is middle term. So always remember that in an arithmetic progression, average is middle term. So find the first term using this. So we see that the common difference is 17, right? Common difference is 17. Next term will be 89, and then it will be 106. So the first term is 106, and it is, if you notice it, it is, the pattern is 17n plus 4. Okay, so first term turns out to be 106. 17 into 60 is 1020, so goes beyond. Into 59 is 1003, so it is also beyond. Into 15 is 986, and 17 n plus 4 is the term. So first term is 106, and last term is going to be 17 into 58 plus 4, that is 990. Okay, the average is the middle term, or you take the average of these two. So 1096, the average is 548. It was such an easy question, and there have been questions of other formats also, like they will give you, like let's say they will give you the numbers like 1, 3, 5, 6, right? You need to find the average of all numbers that are formed using this. Okay, so or something like that. So in that case, average is the last and first term and their average. Okay, so that is the question type that you can expect from progressions and series, and based on averages. Then there are common terms, right? So this was a question which was asked in CAT 2023. Sum of all terms that are common to both the sequences. Okay, so common terms पे question आता है. In CAT 2019 also there was one question. So know the basics of arithmetic progression, geometric progression. Very high chances that you will be able to get those questions right. Okay, so some calculation might be involved. So if you get a question on progression, and if it's a long series, start with small terms and get the answer. Okay, so progressions and series is something wherein you can another expect another question, and uh, would should be able to do it. Now this was a question which was asked in CAT 2019, looks to be a very large number. So large number questions, how to deal with them. Most students fear such large number questions. Large number questions means the answer options have very large numbers. Take a large number in options. Let me tell you that these are the easiest of the questions. These are easy questions. Just that we fear large numbers and we avoid such questions. One should attempt these questions. It not only applies to progressions and series, but also applies to, let us say, functions or some other thing, wherein usually this will be in series, sometimes in functions also. Very large numbers are given in options, numbers given in very high powers, and students fear it and they skip that question. Now if you see this is the actual question and it is very simple to answer. So it says that the population at the beginning of 2019 is 1000 and it becomes 3 plus 2p at the end of in the beginning of next year. Okay, so 2019 it is 1000, in 2020 it will be 3 plus 2p, that will be 2003, 3 plus 2p. Okay, so 2003. Now, which of these options gives you, now what is happening, it is 1 year, 2019 to 2034 is 15 years. Okay, so n is equal to 15, put n is equal to 1 and see. Does it make difference? 1003 plus 6, it does not fit. 977 raised to the power minus 1, it does not fit. Anyway, these values will lead you very exponentially very high values. So these will definitely not be the answers. Now 1 year, this should be 0 because we are taking after 15 years, so we need to treat 15. So for 1 year it should be 0. So 977 to the power 0, it is not true. For 1 year, it should be 1. So 2 into 1003 is 2006 minus 3, that is 2003, which is fitting. So that is our answer. So if you get large number in options, do not fear. These questions are usually going to be easy ones. So be it series based or be it function based, please attempt those questions where are large powers are involved in options. Give 2 3 values. Let us say if you are not feeling confident, or suppose there was another option in which you were getting answer as 2003, so you can calculate for 2021 also. 2p plus 3, so that will be 4006 plus 3, 4009, right? So next year it would be 4009 for the difference of 2 years. So here it would be 2 to the power 2, that becomes 4012 minus 3, again that will fit, and you get the confidence like after taking two values, you are sure that this is the answer. So remember that if you get large number in options, by large number I do not mean a 5 digit number, 6 digit number. If it has large powers like 2 to the power 15, okay, or 95 to the power 70s, so that means these questions are easy ones. Try with putting values 1 2 3 etc and get your answer. So this is one of the easy pickings in the examination if it happens to be a question. Now, in algebra, apart from progressions and series, there is definitely going to be a question on logarithms and indices. So there have been a lot of questions on these. Please go through these properties of logarithms and indices. Please do revise it before the examination. Also, just revise these things because different properties of logarithms have been tested in different years. So go through those properties. Quadratic equations, nature of roots. Often they ask that the equation has real roots, integer roots, different kind of nature of roots. So one question from this, you may get one or two questions from logarithms and indices, one from log, one from indices. So multiple questions could be from logs and indices. So quadratic equation, one question. Modulus based, definitely one question will be there. Function based, one question. So at least 4 to 5 questions you can expect from algebra minimum, right? It can go on the higher end also, 6 to 7 8 questions also can be from algebra. So you must be well versed with that. Now it depends, like some of you might be non-engineers or ones who fear quantitative aptitude. may not have done algebra in depth. So in that case, I mean, just visit these, and if you happen to pick any of the easy questions, do that. Right? It is not about solving the entire section. It is about picking the right set of questions in the examination. And if we talk about the geometry mensuration part, there have been questions on parallelogram, rhombus, and trapezium. So must know their properties. Like parallelogram means that all four sides are parallel. The area is like base into height, and if you draw the diagonal, the two triangles have equal area. If you have a parallelogram and a triangle is drawn with the same base, its area is half of the parallelogram. Rhombus has perpendicular diagonals, okay, and diagonals are perpendicular bisectors of each other. That is the property. Trapezium has parallel sides, okay, and like these two are non-parallel ones, and half sum of parallel sides into distance between them, that is the area. That is often tested. 3D mensuration, if we talk about cylinder and cone, mostly we have had a few times frustum based question on cone. Okay, frustum, so please check those questions. Frustum of cone that have been tested, so it could be filling of liquid into something, could be sphere, hemisphere also. So be prepared for mensuration. One or two questions you can expect from mensuration also. And I have hunch call that this time geometry will rise again and may have more questions on geometry as compared to last year. Okay, so this was a question based on parallelogram asked in CAT 2018. Right, so the same principle, that area of parallelogram perpendicular into base and cutting into triangles. Then we can see that rhombus based questions have been asked in the past. Right, so they give you the perimeter, they give you the diagonals, etc. So diagonals, perimeter, it should be something that one must be prepared for. And if you see, this was a question based on frustum of cone. Frustum is basically a cone which is in, like, it's a similar triangle sort of thing, right? So it says that the cone has a height of 27 centimeter, and at 18 centimeter we cut the part. So this is 18 and this is 9. So we have one smaller cone and the larger cone. So smaller cone versus larger cone, h upon h is 1 upon 3. We are talking about the larger cone. So remember that if you are given the ratio of sides as A ratio B, areas or surface area is in the ratio A square ratio B square, volume is in the ratio A cube ratio B cube. So that is the principle which is quite helpful in certain kind of problems in mensuration also. Okay, 2D mensuration, area thing will work, 3D volume thing will work. So heights are ratio 1 ratio 3. So volumes will be in the ratio 1 ratio 27. So this part has volume 1. The complete cone will have part volume of 27. So when we write V, V means the entire volume. So that is 27. Now volume of the lower part will be 26. Okay, so let us say the volume is x, this volume is 26x. We are given the difference in the volume. So 25x is given to us. We need to find volume of the original cone, that is 27x. So its volume was 27x. So you would easily get the answer to this. So frustum of a cone, you can expect questions from cones and cylinders. So know their formulae, what is surface area, what is curved surface area, what is volume, etc. should be known of these uh, different figures. Now, theorems on circles is another must thing to do. Cover all the theorems. You can expect questions wherein straight away theorems have been applied and one can get those questions solved immediately in the examination. So, theorems on circles is again chord based theorems, secant based theorems, tangent, So different theorems related to chord, secants, tangents. I have a good like gut call that this year they might have questions on geometry, because last year there was very less of geometry, so they might bring back geometry this time and have lesser of algebra this time. Pythagorean triples. This is very important. Okay, so this is a comprehensive list of Pythagorean triples, but the ones which are present in the first line are of utmost importance. These are not only used in right angle triangles, of course, they are used in right angle triangles only, but right angle triangles are formed in several places. Like, for example, in case of rhombus, we saw one of the questions, right? The perimeter was given and the total cost was given. So you could find the diagonals with that easily. So rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular bisectors. Okay, so that is one place where you can expect questions involving Pythagorean triples. Another place is in case of circles, if you have a chord, it forms a right angle here. That is another place. In case of circles, if it is the diameter, it's a right angle triangle. That is another place. If you have a tangent, it is present at 90-degree, another place. So several places right angles are frequently used. And if you look at the Pythagorean triples, mostly the Pythagorean triples are of this format, that 3 4 5 5 12 13 7 24 25 8 15 17. So these are the common ratios which are used in different questions. So sometimes you might have, let us say, the distance of the chord might be 8, the chord might be 30 centimeter long. They might ask what is the radius of this circle, or let us say they give the diameter of the circle as 48 or 50, and they will say that this length is 14. What is this length? Okay, so that could be different varieties of questions involving these Pythagorean triples. It could be in rhombus, it could be in circles, different variations wherein they can test these properties. Now let us see one of the questions which was supposed to be a very difficult question can be solved using Pythagorean triples very easily. This was a question which was asked in CAT 2023. Definitely a difficult one to do if you do it in the conventional way. A triangle is drawn with its vertices on the circle C such that one of its sides is the diameter of C and the other two sides have their lengths in the ratio A ratio B. So there is a triangle which is drawn. One of the sides is the diameter and other two sides are A ratio B. Radius of the circle is R. We need to find the area of the triangle. Okay. Now how to deal with this? This is going to be a right angle triangle because a theorem says that if a side passes through the diameter, then inscribed figure is a right angle triangle. So that is the case. Now A ratio B, one familiar Pythagorean triple is 3 ratio 4 ratio 5. Okay. So let us say one side is 3 and the side is 4. The hypotenuse is going to be 5. It says radius is r. So radius is r is equal to 2.5. Now what we need to do is we see all options contain a, b, r square and this thing. So first let us find the area of the triangle. What is area of this triangle? Area is half 3 into 4, which is equal to 6 square unit. The area is 6 square units. Let us see the basic like ABR square. So let us put ABR square upon A square plus B square and find what is its value. Okay. So ABR square upon this A square plus B square. So AB is 3 and 4. R square is 6.25 and A square plus B square is 3 square plus 4 square, that is equal to 25. Okay, now if you see this, it reduces by 4 and the area turns out to be 3. Like this value is 3, we need to make it 6. So that means we need to multiply this value by 2, and the option which talks of this is ABR square upon A square plus B square. So we saw in this example that use of Pythagorean triples could have enabled us to solve this supposedly very difficult question. I can understand that it's a very difficult question, right? If you do go by the conventional way. But had you applied this knowledge of Pythagorean triples, maybe I'm not saying that you will be able to solve in 30 seconds or within a 1 minute. Maybe even if you took 3 minutes to solve it, let's take a very conservative time, 3 minutes. ठीक है, आपको ये तो स्ट्राइक हो गया कि एक पाइथागोरन ट्रिपल लेके सॉल्व कर लेते हैं, बिकॉज नो सच वैल्यूज आर गिवन. इवन इफ यू टुक 3 minutes on this question and attempted it, probably, like if you could solve some, let us say 10 questions in this paper, then you would have got a very very high percentile, 99.5 percentile. So it was about the picking the right set of questions, applying the right techniques in approaching the questions, and tackling them in the examination. So Pythagorean triples are quite handy, and as I told you, the different places in rhombus, in case of chords, in case of the triangles in diameter, in case of tangent, all such places Pythagorean triples are handy. You can assume any Pythagorean triple if nothing as such is mentioned in the question. And if you wish to revise some questions in quant, right? I had a series called High Order Thinking Summer Series. It had 30 videos. We had it in June 1 to 30. In each of the videos, I've explained that which class is going to be on which topic. So you can watch those selective classes in the last 2 3 days. Let us say if you want to watch a series based on, let's say one class was on averages, you want to watch that, or number system, or any topic which you feel that you want to see my way of solving questions. We have covered some really good questions in this series, so watch this series. I mean, of course, now it is not possible to watch the entire series, but you can still watch those selective sessions. So at the beginning of each of the videos, I have shown the slide that what is the topic which is going to be discussed in which particular date. So you can watch that particular video and learn techniques to solve questions, be it arithmetic, algebra, geometry, number system, modern math, anything you want to cover. It covers all three sections. Okay, so you can check out for other sections also. So this will help you learn some techniques to solve questions. So if you're struggling with some of the topics, just go through it. Let's say you want to see time, speed, distance based questions. It will have variety of questions on time, speed, distance covered under it. So please do watch this series if you get time, and that will help you boost your score. Now coming to the general guidelines of this quant section, that how to maximize the attempts, right? So we know the concepts, we know the techniques. First and the foremost thing is avoid scanning questions and go with the flow. So what happens in DILR and VARC is you are able to select sets, right? DILR will have 4 to 5 sets, isn't it? You are able to see the sets. You know, okay, this set is not worth attempting. Let me do the next set. Similarly, in VRC, you have 4 RCs, or maybe you might have 5. So you will be able to see that, okay, this RC I am unable to read, or for some reason I do not want to attempt this RC, I can switch to other RC. But in quant, that is not possible. You will not be going to see all the questions. So start with the first question. Okay, if you find it fine, go on solving them. If you find those difficult, avoid them. Go with the flow. Don't see all the questions in the beginning. It will take a lot of time to attempt. Now, how to decide how to attempt the question or not? So first is initial marking. How do you mark initially? Difficulty based on two things. One is topic familiarity, another is length of the questions. Okay, if the question looks to be very long, I'm not saying that it is always a lengthy question is difficult. But sometimes if the question looks length of questions, I would say the data also involved in it. Or like calculation, if you talk about the different parts. So data involved, calculations involved. Initial look, give it a look. Okay, if you feel that calculation is involved. Like we discussed that SICI based question, compound interest based question, values in decimals. Okay, so close options. Okay, so these are the different parameters. Close or no options. So that means it may be a tricky one, right? So if you feel that it is unfamiliar topic, let's say you have not covered time, speed, distance in depth, okay, and you encounter a question of some concept which you did not do prepare well during your preparation, length of the question is very high, data intensive, calculation intensive, no options or close options, avoid it, right? So that is the initial filter. It is not necessary a true filter. A question may be long but easy. So initial filter is this. Okay, initial filter से decide कर लिया difficult not to attempt. Move on. If you find easy ones, right, solve those questions. If you find some moderate ones, mark those questions. डू नॉट अटेम्प्ट इन द फर्स्ट स्कोर. मार्क कर लो. आपको लग रहा है कि हाँ ये टॉपिक आता है, क्वेश्चन देखा हुआ है पहले, कभी किया इस तरह का सिमिलर क्वेश्चन, mark those because you have to reach the end. In each section you must be able to see the entire paper. If you are able to see the entire paper, then only you can decide the right ones. Same happens in DILR also. People stick to one or two sets, maybe the other two sets are easy ones, so you do not know which questions are going to be easy or doable ones. So pick easy questions, mark the ones that are moderate, and leave difficult ones. How to decide difficult ones? This is the initial filter. Second filter of difficulty is solve for 1 minute. If you are heading nowhere, आपने एक क्वेश्चन को 1 मिनट दिया, आफ्टर 1 मिनट यू रियलाइज दैट यू आर नॉट एबल टू थिंक थ्रू इट, लाइक ना कैलकुलेशन लग रही है, ना कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आ रहा है, और इक्वेशंस आर क्वाइट कॉम्प्लेक्स, राइट? एनीथिंग कुड हैपन with that question. So if you feel that after giving 1 minute you are unable to proceed in that question, just skip that, because you do not have too much time to spend. In 40 minutes you have to maximize attempts. Heading nowhere means, I'm not saying that you should be able to get the answer in 1 minute. What I mean to say is you are stuck, completely stuck, you are not able to think beyond a thing. Okay, so maybe you can mark it or just keep it depending on the question. Now that is not a 1 minute timer that is fixed. Sometimes it could be you have to spend 2 minutes, because reading time will take time, writing down the data will take time, so it might be 2 minutes also. But if you feel that after spending some time you are unable to go anywhere, move on and return to those questions later on if time permits. So this way try to see all questions. Now, what happens is people are unable to see all the questions and later on realize, after the response sheet is out, they realize कि they could have attempted more questions. आप 7 क्वेश्चन करके आए, आपको बाद में लगता है कि मैं तो 10-11 कर सकता था. Okay, so do not have any repentance. Maybe you are not able to solve, that's fine, but at least do not repent that you did not see all the questions. If you've not seen any of the questions, then it's a sin that you have committed in the examination. So ensure that you see all the questions, because then only you will be able to pick out the doable ones. And do not target any number. Okay, don't go with any notion that last year so many questions were required for X percentile. If the paper turns out to be easy, you might be needing to score much more. So don't go with that any score versus percentile mindset, and minimize the use of calculator because of the interface, it is not that friendly. Okay, so if very necessitated, if it becomes that you cannot solve that question, you know everything, you need formula वगैरह सब सही लगा है, at the last moment you are unable to get the right answer because of your calculation ability, then only use the calculator. Okay, do not use it in every question. So that are some tips in order to maximize your score in quant. So I wish you all the best for the examination. So as I said that I showed you that playlist, you can watch that playlist, and this will help you learn some techniques to solve questions. And on the 24th November at 10:30 a.m., I'll be doing the live analysis of the exam on my Instagram channel. In case you are preparing for ZAT and are looking for a source, we had a crash course. We have slashed the prices of it. So in this, we are yet to cover decision making. We have covered the quant, logical reasoning, verbal ability. We will be covering verbal ability plus some ZAT specific quant topics also. So decision making plus some more classes for that are remaining live. Rest are in the recorded format. And in this, you will get 5 mocks for that plus 20 DM tests also. And if you are preparing for CAT 2025 or know someone who would be interested in preparing, this is the best opportunity that one can avail. We are launching a CAT and OMET 2025-26 batch, which will be valid till March 31, 2026. The price is just 15,000, and for the first 100 students we are offering it for just 12,000. So the seats for this are filling fast, so try to enroll fast or let others know so that they can enroll on time. It will have recorded concept videos, solved questions basic to advanced across all topics. So topic wise practice sheets will be provided. There will be doubt resolution group and live doubt sessions periodically. In VA, we will be covering grammar and vocab also apart from the normal CAT syllabus. And in LR, omit specific topics like blood relations, syllogisms, input output, clocks, calendars, all such topics will be covered in this course. So, this will be a complete preparatory resource for all MBA entrance examinations like CAT, NMAT, SNAP, etc. So, if you're preparing for such examinations for the next year, please do enroll in this course. So this was about CAT quantitative aptitude section, that how to attempt the section, which are the most probable topics. So you know that these are the topics from you are very likely to get questions in the examination. So just revise the formula. I'm sure that you must have solved past year questions of these topics, and I give you the insights also that which questions to pick, which to avoid. Try to see all the questions. If, as long as you are able to see the questions, you can decide better that which questions to attempt, which questions not to attempt. Do not spend too much time on a particular question. If you feel that you are heading nowhere in a particular question, just avoid it, because all questions carry equal marks, right? That is one thing that you need to keep in mind. All questions carry equal marks. There is no bravery award for attempting a difficult question. So try to pick the easy questions, try to maximize your attempts and your score. So it is not that you solve a difficult question, you are going to get 5 marks for it. You will still get 3 marks. So try to attempt the easy questions so that you are able to attempt more questions and gain more marks in the examination. So I wish you all the best for CAT 2024. I hope you would do well on the day of the examination, and do join us for the analysis session on 24th of November.